Hello, my name is Dan Johnson and welcome back to the Who podcast. I can finally take this bloody hat off. This time we are looking at a review of 2021. The previous part was about Christmas presents for Whovians and just general Christmas chit-chat. You should go and check out that part if you haven't already. But other than that, enjoy the podcast. But yes, should we go into a kind of review of the year? And I think the highlight with all of Doctor Who merchandise is always the steelbooks and the collection box sets. I mean, they are the big releases of the year. This year, we've had nearly one a month, which is quite surprising. And I'll just
the UK has been so many great releases.
I don't know whether you've got all of these yet, but I will mention.
We'll go over that.
And I forgot that some of these even came out this year. I thought some of them came out last year for some reason. Series 8, the 50th, Season 8, with John Pertwee, Web of Fear, Evil of the Daleks, Galaxy 4, Season 24, and then standard releases for Season 12, Season 14, Season 19, Season 23, and Season 18.
18 and Season 10.
And Season 10, yes. So I wrote all of that, and I just thought, that is a lot of releases to keep up
Isn't
with. It doesn't feel like it's been that many.
It's been about one a month, and it's been, 3 collection box sets. So you had Season 17 coming out
December.
Of course,
Season 17 in December.
So, and then, what were the other two? There's
Season 8,
Season 8 and 24. And so there's 3 collection box sets. You got the Steelbooks wrapping up basically the re-release run of the new series Steelbooks with Series 8 and the 50th. And then you had the animations, which we were quite spoiled with.
They cracked a lot of them out this year, didn't they? Really?
Because we had Evil, we had Web, we had Galaxy 4 now.
Yeah, like they did a lot this year. I'm just trying to think of it. Was Fury of the Deep this year?
Fury from the Deep.
Was it late last year? It might have been late last year. Now I think about it, but
I don't think.
But Fury of the Deep was a weird animation. But we're very lucky on that front, aren't we, to get all that stuff? And
yes, absolutely.
Was there any that really stood out to you as your favorite among those?
I would have to say. I think the collection box sets always come up as my favorites, just because of what's exciting to me about them isn't necessarily how amazing the limited edition sets are, which they are. Lee Binding does amazing artwork, but I love how the impact it's had on making Doctor Who more accessible to fans, especially in the US, as we're about a release behind. We got Season 24 in the US, which is called Sylvester McCoy Complete Season 1, when the next box set came out. So that would have been Season...
You mean that would be a standard release? No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you mean you got Season 8 when we got Season 24.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's it. Yes.
Because I remember distinctly that Season 4 came out in June, I think. And we got it in September. You got Season 8 in June. Yes.
Yes. And the US Season 24 came out in September. So I think those come to the top for me. I loved Series 8 and the Complete Special Steelbook because those were the first new series Steelbooks I kept up with. I came to the Steelbook. Okay. I came to the Steelbook game really late. Yes. I got the last 2, and now it's oh gosh, it's going to be fun tracking those down.
Yeah. Wow.
How about you?
I think 50th for me. I think Lee Binding did an amazing job on that 50th Steelbook, and for me, it was so good to kind of go back to that time of 2013 because. Unlike, I didn't realize how much nostalgia I would have for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
People always talk about that kind of golden age, which was only 9 years ago, just nearly.
Oh my gosh.
Approaching 9 years ago.
You're making me feel old, Dan. I hate to say it. This whole being born in 2001 thing, and then
10.
the 9 years ago was.
But yeah, it is weird kind of approaching that time. Because with that, I looked at all of the things that I never really saw before. I mean, this might have been in the box set because I ordered the standard version because when the steelbook came out, you could get that DVD version for cheaper because people didn't need it. So I was able to get that for like 30, 40 quid. So I bought that, and then the steelbook came out. I think I bought it the other way around, actually. I think I bought that, and then the steelbook was announced.
Oh, no.
So when I bought that, I did go and watch a lot of the stuff from it. I watched Adventure Space and Time, which at that point I'd never seen before.
Oh,
and
that's got to be one of the best Doctor Who things ever created.
And the Five Doctors, like, just amazing stuff within that time.
You're so right.
Happy with it all. And it's so... it was so nice to go back to that time, but I don't think there was necessarily a bad release within it. I think, Web of Fear was probably the worst. I mean, like, the animation on that was not very good.
That was not very good. No.
But then we still got the Steelbook edition, and we still got
that was nice, and
we still got the episodes that I haven't seen before.
And the thing is, it's not always with some stories about how good the animation looks. It's also a bonus of it is that you get the 60s episodes upscaled to Blu-ray quality, and like that's huge. Like to get 60s Doctor Who on Blu-ray at all is incredible. I mean, I'm sure we'll get it eventually with a collection range, but
that is the intention.
That was unheard of. Prior to any of these being animated.
Yeah. Recently, I've just acquired my first 4K, and it's Twice Upon a Time. They did a 4K of Twice Upon a Time. No,
nice,
I can't play it on anything. But I've been saying to my dad that we need to get a 4K player.
Yep. Here's the
same version. Yep, that's it. Oh, mine doesn't have that thing in the corner, and my logo's slightly
right. This would be the Region A version. You'd have the Region B.
Yes. But nevertheless, that was quite a cool thing. And I bought I don't know how much you're interested in DC films, but the James Gunn's the Suicide Squad as well. I got that on 4K. Yeah. That was a 4K steelbook from the Warner Bros. Website, which is a very, very nice deal. But there's bullets and they kind of pop out, and I was like, when I saw that, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to get that.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was about 30 quid, and I was like, okay, but I don't really want to get a lot of 4Ks at the minute because I think that I just get the really big, like the ones I'm really a fan of.
Right.
So I'll probably get some Kingsmans, and because I love Kingsman, and I always missed out on certain steelbooks because I didn't have a 4K player, and obviously they come with Blu-rays, so it's the same thing. And I think of it as kind of investing in.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Well, speaking of investing, one thing that I'm sure we'll cover too is there's been one of the releases that I was most excited to get in 2021 was actually a German Doctor Who media book, and this has this is Full Circle, and that came out back in.
I really enjoyed Full Circle. I was surprised, but this
came out in April 30th, and so that was a 2021 release. I was quite excited.
Are they particularly expensive? Those things?
They're about in the $30 to $40 range. It's like. So
about
25 quid, and for me it's an extra $15 shipping. So I get them when I can, and I like investing in the range because it helps support future releases coming out.
Yes, you mentioned it when you were in the previous time.
Yes, still obsessed. But Fury from the Deep did technically come out for the US in 2021. It was a US release. It came out in March, so quite late compared to the UK release, but that was exciting to get in the US. I'll show
the
you
UK was earlier than that.
No, wait, that's this one. Where's Fury? It's got a big old green logo on the side that stands out on the shelf like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
It's the same one that's on the front there.
Very similar to that one. Yeah. I didn't I don't get the DVD or Blu-ray versions. I just get the
Yeah,
steelbook versions, personally. But yeah, I always find them. I always love when we get a new release like that. It's always great. Yeah, it was September 2020 in the UK.
wow.
So
So that's quite
many
like,
months before. So I was completely wrong. But yeah, I absolutely love getting anything Steelbook collection box set related.
right.
I don't know what you're like, but I think you've got more than I do in terms of comic books, and I don't know what the year's been like for comic books in Doctor Who. But if you had many interesting releases,
Yeah, so one thing that I was actually sent by a subscriber, Ethan Anderson, was the Missy series, like series one, issue one, with the different variant covers, which was quite cool. I got
mm-hmm.
the first four of those, so that was quite nice. And there we had a graphic novel release, The Age of Chaos, which has some Sixth Doctor comics. It's kind of got a an array of different ones in there. But that was nice. That was from Doctor Who magazine, and that's always fun. I love those collected volumes of comics. I've been collecting them for a while. I haven't actually gotten that latest one, but I intend to very much. So that was fun. Titans continuing to push out, more and more ranges, more and more releases. So that's quite nice. We had obviously the Time Lord Victorious graphic novel that arrived for me in the U.S. in 2021. I don't know if it came out
No,
in
that
2020.
that
That
was
was
all Time Lord.
2020,
That was last year.
like
Here.
fall of 2020. And I actually I tried to be, like it's good to like not always support Amazon and
Yeah.
shop local. And so I said I think it was birthday money. I was like I'm gonna shop local. I had a gift card to this local bookstore, and so I ordered it from them, and it took like 5 or 6 months to arrive because they had it on their website, but they didn't have it in stock. So that was a thing that took a while. So
Uh, yeah, but I can't say I'm a big fan of the comic book. I don't. Not that I just not that I don't like them. It's that I don't read them. I don't know where to start with them. I suppose, and I
it
don't
can be
think that
hard,
it's really something I want to go into neither, because
right?
it does become quite lucrative and quite expensive. But I think that like the 10th Doctor and Jodie and stuff like that has always been,
Hmm.
I imagine, being very interesting connections.
Yeah, the Titan comics. I tend to collect them once they're in graphic novel form, but last year especially I got into the 13th Doctor comics and collecting the variants and stuff. So that's something that I'll definitely get back into and enjoy. Because really, I think when you're collecting the variants, because you're getting multiple versions of the same comic, you're really collecting the artwork on the front. And so one thing I want to work on is a way to display them in my room, because I got these shelves on one side, but the other wall is just kind of blank at the moment. So I
Yeah,
kind
you
of
can
want to like display the artwork.
get some vinyls. That's what I originally planned to do with my vinyls, was to hang them up. But
I
I just
have I
decided not
have I've gone down the vinyl rabbit hole. You'd be proud of me.
to.
I recently, there was like it was a birthday present. I had some money to spend, so I went to Amazon, got the Mythmakers vinyl for like I think it was $30, and
Lovely.
it's such a beautiful release. My dad's got a like a Victrola that I
Like
listened to it on.
orangey,
Yes,
orangey.
I'll
Because that's the thing that really excites me about those vinyls, is that those ones you're talking about, is
hmm.
that each vinyl has got its own sort of design, which I think is really cool.
Yes, it's
Like, isn't that
incredible.
one? It's an orangey kind of color, isn't it?
You,
That one.
you're correct. I'll grab it in a sec.
Yeah, I haven't. Well, I haven't seen it, but
It's
yeah,
absolutely lovely. I would
yeah.
highly recommend it. I'll put it
I
off
mean,
to the
they
side.
just sell out so quickly, though, that you lose them before you can even think about buying them. Because I
Yeah,
think
you
that
definitely
they're limited quite heavily.
they are. Weirdly enough, the Mythmakers one is currently pretty cheap. I don't know if it's sold as well, but it's like I
I
said.
wanted to get the Evil of the Daleks one at one point.
Oh, that's expensive. That is.
Is it? Oh, good. Extremely expensive one.
So this is the design of Mythmakers, and it's
Yes.
got the Trojan horse in the sunset there, and
Hmm.
it's orange and beautiful. You've got the TARDIS on the back, and it was so fun to listen to. This is the first vinyl I'd ever listened to. On the inside, you've got a cool modern sort of design there, and there are two vinyls that come with this release, and you've got the TARDIS there in an orange time vortex, and then on the
Here's the
inside,
big reveal.
here's a big reveal coming. It's a bright orange splatter design there on both
That is
sides.
lovely, and it's shiny as well. It's really reflective.
It's shiny. It's also slightly translucent. Like I can see my fingers on the other side of it.
Really?
I don't know
It's
if
like
you
honeycomb.
can see that. Yeah, yeah. And so that's both of them look like this, and it was so much fun listening to it, and I'm hooked now. I've ordered Galaxy 4. I found a deal for it on eBay for like $35. I got the City of Death vinyl. No Big Finish yet because those are expensive, even more expensive. And the Web Planet, I got a really good deal on. So yeah, they're.
I think vinyl's really come back this year a lot more than in my eyes.
Yes.
Because the Dalek Universe thing was available on vinyl, and they did this
the Ninth Doctor. The Ninth Doctor ones.
Yeah, the Ninth Doctor ones, and even the second. So they're doing another series of it. The 4 box sets. I think once this set ends, because I think the third volume comes out in November, so there's not really much left there for it to come out. If Unit came out today, it probably won't be coming out this week, so it probably has to be next week.
Heart of Fang Rock came out on vinyl, as well as the Ice Warriors this year.
Yeah.
You're right. We had there's also the Terry Nation's Dalek Terror that came out. And that was like an anthology of audio stories from short stories, Terry Nation's Dalek annuals.
Yeah, and it's. Well, I mean, I think it's been growing for many years, really, vinyl, hasn't it? Its popularity. But my HMV, my local one, kind of had a whole reshape, moved. I believe it moved. And it now has these huge vinyl racks, right at the front where you can flick through the vinyls. And so there's a bit of DVD and Blu-rays and steelbooks still there, and 4K and all that kind of stuff. It's all still there. But they've cut back a bit on their CDs and replaced them a lot with vinyls.
Vinyl's made a huge comeback, strangely. I wasn't expecting that, for sure, but I think people are really, really liking the artwork and how significant something feels. I think it's kind of a reaction to the digital age where it's all on your phone, so there's nothing really special about getting it.
It's being involved in it's the flicking, it's the putting the thing in and flicking the switch, and also with vinyl, you have to purposely listen to it.
Right.
Because
I was struck by that. I was like, how do I pause this? And you can pause it, but it doesn't pick up exactly where you left off. So, and I was new to it. So it's like, I'm just going to sit down, I'll listen to it. It's one episode per side. And it's just, you're right, it's very intentional.
Yeah. And I think that's the draw with it, to be honest. And that's what's drawn me to it is now I was listening to Ravagers, and on my phone, I wouldn't say I struggled with it. That would be the wrong word. But to say that, I don't know if you've listened to it yourself, because it is quite fairly new release. It came out in May.
I listened to the first. Ravagers, the first one.
Yeah. Yes, I think you did a video on it. Yeah, my bad. And that set is very timey-wimey and very all over the place. And I listened to it, must have been 3 times, I think, on my phone. And listening to it on vinyl, I kind of had a new appreciation for just the way Christopher Eccleston sounded. It sounded a lot more alive and a lot more vibrant than it did on my phone. And I think that's just like you say, a response to the digital age, I think. And the kind of, I don't tend to listen to things on speakers. Like, I just don't like the idea that people listen to the things that I'm listening to, I guess. Like, even if I'm in a room alone, I mean, I edit videos without headphones sometimes, but I don't, stick music on the Google or anything like that. I leave all of that, and I will literally sit here and listen to music on my phone with my earphones in, because I feel like there's a connection there, and with the vinyl I get the same experience. But shall I move on to some of the big finish releases of this year?
Yes, please.
As
You're
a
the
bit
expert.
of a wrap up on that. Now, obviously, I haven't bought everything because I mean, this year
There's a lot.
they've pumped something out every week, and I think that in
Oh, yeah.
2021 it's going to get even more chaotic with each Doctor getting their own box set, and like I think that
we're in for a treat, but
we're
it's
all
going to
gonna
be
have to
hard
pick things
on the
that we
wallet.
want.
Yeah,
It's the only way to do it would be to like team up as like a group, and then order things between you so that you cover everything, because that's the only way you could possibly afford it without being a millionaire. But for me, there's been a lot of really interesting sets this year. I think Stranded has been a really Stranded was last year, Daniel. Mostly, it was set in last year.
Mostly,
but the second volume came out this year.
Right.
I think that was a really interesting story, and I believe that the final volume, the third volume, sorry, is coming out in December.
Yes. Yes.
So
That
definitely
had
this year,
a lot of critical acclaim there. I heard a lot of good things about it.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I wouldn't call it Doctor Who like running down corridors or anything like that. I think a lot of people have said that. But for me, I listened to the majority of it in my bed. I felt like, because of its calm nature, it was a good thing to listen to before I went to sleep.
That's great.
But so I really enjoyed that. Those two sets that are currently out. I'm listening to the third one when it comes out as well.
That. Yeah, Stranded 2 did come back in March.
Yes. Hey, that's right. It did come out in 2021. I knew it was set in 2020, but I think it got like pushed back or something that meant that it didn't arrive in 2020. And then this third release got pushed back a lot as well. But I've really enjoyed the characters in Stranding. The character writing is excellent, because especially when you have so many characters, you've basically got the entire block of flats where they inhabit. Everyone there's got something to do, and they get their own backstories. Some of them have their own episodes, and I think that's really, really like a credit to the rating team. So I thought I'd have to mention that,
because I mean, something that a lot of the kind of Achilles heel of audio is that if you have too many voices going, you don't have that visual cue to keep track of people. So I think a lot of audios kind of keep the cast small. So I think it was very brave and very well written and designed to have, because I'm looking at the cast list now. There's a ton. There's like 20 names here.
Like they intentionally made them unique, and I think because you had to make them unique, you kind of had to give each character not just its own voice, but its own way of speaking, or their own way of speaking, whoever that might be. There's a lad who's played by Peter Davison's youngest son.
Get out of here! Seriously,
Joel Davidson or Davison, being the younger.
Oh yes, Joel James Davison, Robin Bright Thompson.
Yeah, so Robin, he's obviously, because he's younger, he's easy to tell apart from the others. But he makes his appearance, and he's got a very sort of uncaring family. They're not necessarily uncaring; they're just very busy. And you have a gay couple. I've forgotten their name. I think it's Tony and
Claire.
Claire.
Oh, there's two people called Tony Claire in the.
Yes, because in the second set they go back into their past, so they're played by younger versions.
I see.
But yeah, Tony Claire and I forgot his partner's name. But those, it will come to me in a minute. But I felt like everything there had to be very intentional. Everything had to be well written with their own mannerisms and stuff like that to make a really interesting story. And even when the stories weren't particularly busy, like not a lot happens in each one. To be honest, I think like the first set there was the second story, I believe. No, yeah. I think it was probably the most underwhelming because not a lot happened within it. But then again, while listening to it, I didn't really notice that. But obviously, you have Dalek Universe, which has been a big thing for me this year.
Oh my gosh!
I've about loving that, recommending
incredible. That first release has got to be one of, like, there are certain episodes of Doctor Who that like you remember coming to a cliffhanger and your jaw just dropping, like moments like
it really reminded me of that era as well.
And what I love too is, like, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the 10th Doctor. 10th Doctor's been popping up in a lot of audios, a lot of comics. People, I think you've either talked about it in videos or just when in these podcasts about is have we had too much of the 10th Doctor?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, this feels like we're making up for lost time because he hasn't been on TV since 2010. But I loved it, and what I loved is not only is like 10th Doctor there, but he's in this very much world that is a love letter to Terry Nation, to the first Doctor era,
Yeah.
with all of these great references. You've got villains and characters that are based off of just things that were so small in annuals and characters just plucked out of annuals and brought into incredible life in this series, and I love that. So it's not something for 10th Doctor fans only. It's something for first Doctor fans as well, and I think any Doctor Who fans will enjoy this set. And that cliffhanger left my jaw on the floor. It was
Yeah, and
oh
it really does continue into the second and third set. You develop a lot more with the characters, and you get to learn a lot more about their
yes,
backstories in the
yes.
second. And then the third set introduces Davros and Mavellans and the Mavellan War,
There we
and
go.
the first
Yep.
Mavellan, and it's very, very cool in that aspect. And I can't wait for that vinyl to arrive for the
Oh,
third set because
I'm so glad you have it on vinyl. That would be amazing.
the first one arrived, and then the second one
Woo!
arrived. The
Look at
second one
that.
is lovely, and you get the artwork individually.
Oh, that's
Let me see if I can get the link
beautiful.
right. So that you get like that, and obviously they have sleeves in the way that yours does.
Yep.
And this isn't even one of the I would say better covers. So you get it one like
That's
that, and they
incredible.
are absolutely gorgeous. And that's why I'm so happy to have them. But when that third one arrives, the artwork on that is amazing. I can't wait to get the artwork for the Triumph Davros, the
Oh
final story.
my
Um,
gosh.
but
That's
not just Dalek Universe, of course, but the Ninth Doctor,
that's got to be
who's
the
basically talked
biggest,
about
arguably
the
the
biggest
biggest
thing of the year.
release of the
Yeah,
year. I mean, certainly the thing that made the most headlines was Christopher Eccleston's return as the Doctor. I mean, for Ninth Doctor fans, that has to be
that's
the biggest
that's
thing.
history, isn't it? Really,
Right,
that's
right.
such a huge moment
If you
within
had to
that.
pick one thing to say, okay, what happened for Doctor Who in 2021, aside from whatever the latest series was, Series 13, it would be Ninth Doctor's back and Big Finish. And that was huge. And I loved, I listened to it the day it came out. And that just felt like, I mean, I know with Big Finish you can listen to it whenever, but it just felt like you were tuning in with lots of other Doctor Who fans, like on the release day, watching the Ninth Doctor
Mhm.
return because I didn't get to experience the March 26th, 2005 thing, and I'm
No,
sure you don't
I
remember
don't
that
remember it. No,
very well.
no.
See, the thing is, I was a good age to have grown up with Doctor Who, but we didn't get into it until like 2008, 9, really into 2010 and 11 onwards, so when we got into it a lot. So, I don't have memories of growing up with Doctor Who. Even though I'm technically the right age. But you're right, that's a huge release this year, and I'm glad you've got those on vinyl, right?
Yes. Yeah, it responds to all cause and Ravagers, obviously being the two that are currently available, and I don't
Hmm.
think that Lost Warriors will arrive before the end of the year. But here's responds to all calls. I
Wow.
haven't listened to this one yet on the vinyl versions, but because I'm halfway through Ravagers, halfway through
Hmm.
Ravagers. Um, but yeah, this is the artwork for the. I don't know if you've seen the artwork for this one, the individual
No.
covers,
No.
but
I think on Twitter I saw them once. Yeah.
yeah, the artwork for I think I mean they're all gorgeous to be honest. I mean I
Right.
don't love them as much as I loved Dalek Universe,
Hmm.
but the one for the final episode
Oh,
was
gosh,
gorgeous
that's
and was like
gorgeous.
my kind of story. Like it was really bizarre, and that's something I absolutely loved within it. The
Uh,
Ninth Doctor is absolutely brilliant, but of course that's not the only thing that we've had in terms of huge huge milestones this year, I guess.
hmm. Hmm.
Um, this was right at the beginning of the year, of course,
Yeah.
but Masterful if you remember that. Right at the
Yes.
start of the year.
Oh, so good. 50th anniversary of the Master.
Yeah, what a story that was. I mean, it was incredibly complicated. I really had to listen
Oh
to it
my
a few
gosh.
times. And I still, to this day, believe that the ending is a little bit rushed. Like, I think that they could have maybe
Yeah.
evened it out, but it is very difficult with someone like the Master that can't really be the good guy, I suppose, that can't
Yeah.
end the episode like the Doctor ends an episode, has to beat about around the bush a bit. But other than that, like,
I
that thing was amazing.
It was incredible. I listened to, let's see, how long is it? I think it's
3
551.
hours. Yeah.
I listened to all of it, including the bonus features, not all 9 hours straight.
Oh, you're talking about the deluxe edition with
The deluxe
the
edition.
short trips. I remember you doing that. Yeah, short trips. The 2 short trips, switching and Eye of the Master, and then
yes,
Terror of
the
the Master, which is
Master,
something I really want to listen to again.
That was wild too, because that was basically like a brand new Third Doctor story, but it felt so much like it was of that era.
Yeah,
but
and
also
it was only like
longer.
the extra bit as well.
Right.
It wasn't.
And you think it's just a short story, but it's like another 3 hours.
They could have released just Terror of the Master, and we would have all been quite happy. But then they went and put John Sibb, like his like first appearance on Big Finish, I believe. And there's all that kind of exciting stuff that they can now do because of that, and just all of those masters together. Like, what a thing! Just for the.
I think Jeffrey Beavers stole the show, in my opinion. I mean, everybody did an amazing job.
Amazing. Yeah.
Milo Parker was great, and also Eric Roberts was just really fun. I mean, I actually got a, and
he wasn't initially. He had his first box set
right.
issue. He wasn't. He wasn't in.
It was just Master. That's what it was. It was Master.
It was Master with like an exclamation mark at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, which is hard to get across in a podcast. Master.
Yeah, just louder. But like that was an amazing release, and I'm very happy with all that kind of stuff.
The end of the beginning. I mean, massive release as well.
The end of the final monthly adventure, of course.
Monthly adventure. 275 months straight, and then it ended, and that was a fun listen.
200 months, you say?
275 months straight.
Wow. Just so I know that the first 50 are available on Spotify, and I've been listening to them. And I started this months ago, and I have not. I've listened to 5 in that time because of other releases.
Wasn't the Fearmonger good? Or Fearmonger? That should have been the
Fearmonger was the last one I listened to.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked the Fearmonger was good. A lot of them I didn't like that much. What was one I listened to? I think it was the third one.
Whispers of Terror I didn't like as much. I thought they utilized audio well as a medium, but I didn't like that one as much.
And I think when listening to it on Spotify, I think I'm also held back a little bit, because if I had it myself, then I would hit the ×2 speed. Because
what
happens is if I'm kind of falling out with the story a little bit, I don't let it outstay its welcome. I will listen to it on 2 speed until it gets better, and then I put it down to like a 1.5.
I see.
So I do that with a lot of releases, because otherwise you can cut a 40-minute episode to 20 minutes. You know, you can. And if you like me, I watch a lot of YouTube on 2 times speed.
Oh yeah,
because
same.
I can process what people are saying, and when you go down, I find a lot that I talk with a lot of gaps, and even now you can tell that I'm slowing down on my words. I might be doing it intentionally, but I'm slowing down on the words, and with 2 times speed you can just ramp it up. What
somebody may be listening to us at 2 times speed now. What we should do is speak at half speed, half as slow, to annoy them.
Slow. Yes. We
so that we sound
should.
at normal speed.
And then they're going to think that they've done something wrong with their YouTube.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
but
Yeah.
what a year it's been for Big Finish. I mean, next
Oh,
year
there's
looks just
we're
incredible. I
we're
mean,
just barely
wow.
scratching the surface. I mean, next year is going to be insane
I
for.
mean, each year I like I said that last year. I said this year's going to be crazy because we're going to get the Ninth Doctor back. We're going to get Masterful. We've got
Mhm.
Dalek Universe. We've got all this cool stuff happening next year. And obviously, we've been through all that now. And I'm
Right.
going into next year thinking we've got new Davison sets. We've got Stranded continuing. We've got
Right.
more from Unit. We've got more from the Ninth Doctor. Plus a whole bunch of things that probably haven't even been announced yet.
And it's yeah,
Yeah, it's all
but
gonna
Unit Nemesis,
just came out today.
just
I haven't finished.
and the
Obviously,
rest of them are going on.
but
You've
yeah,
got a lot of continuing series and a lot of new, Ninth Doctor Series 2,
mm,
40th anniversary for the Fifth Doctor. And something too that's lovely is like that they always have a Fourth Doctor series of Big Finish. Like that's just it's a tradition now, and that's great that they're still giving more for him to do. I'm excited for the Seventh Doctor Silver and Ice because it has a story that's returning to Ribos, so it's like a sequel to the Ribos operation.
right, okay, yeah.
And I love that's my favorite season
I mean,
16
we're really
story.
gonna have to cherry pick. I'm gonna have to cherry pick some stuff next year because there's no way I can afford it all. So I'm probably gonna, like for me, and it's going to be based a lot of covers and what's within the stories. So
And what's on vinyl.
yeah, I know it's fun. I'm already beginning to save up for the second load of Ninth Doctor vinyls,
Yep.
so that it doesn't hurt my wallet as much when I buy
Yep.
them.
Good for you.
So just a little bit at a time, just so that when it does come to pre-ordering them, I've got the money. I can just go to the bank, put it in, and then go done.
Right.
But for me this year, I'm thinking about next year, I'm thinking about Peter Davison. I'd really love to get his sets being the 40th year.
Yep.
I'd love to get Beyond War Games. Just to see what
Yes.
it's about. I mean, I'd
6B.
like to know more information before I get it.
6B.
But like, what does that mean? It's so exciting.
Oh, and
Anything by
will
the
it
10th
line up
Doctor
with
as
what?
well for me.
Will it line
And
up with what the new series is doing?
maybe we'll have to see. We don't even know. We currently, obviously, because this episode, if you're listening to this on YouTube, series 13 is over.
Oh, right.
It would have finished.
How was it, everybody?
I
How was the finale?
I dread to think. Imagine if we've got another Timeless Children thing.
There's
like,
all to play
what do
for.
we know now that the versions in this video don't know yet?
I know, because I was thinking like the last time I was on was 6 months ago, so like so much has changed, and we've gotten so much merchandise since then.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
I think we were just listening to the first Dalek Universe when that came out, or when we recorded it.
second one, I believe.
Second, and then
No,
first
you
Ninth
might
Doctor,
be right
was it?
with the first one, actually. I think it might have been the first one.
Right.
In fact,
Right.
you might be right there. But yeah, because I definitely said that I just finished one of them, and it might have been the last one.
Yeah, you'd been listening to it in the park, and
Yeah,
I think it was the first one.
bright outside.
Yeah.
And you can actually go for walks, and it's dark at 4:00. But
Yeah.
other than that kind of merchandise, is there anything that really stood out to you this year?
For Big Finish, or
Just
in general?
Like, what stood out to you as a big moment of the year?
I mean, that's a good question. I think a big moment was, I mean, anytime any of the animations are announced is huge. And so I think hearing that a Hartnell animation was coming around again, for the first time since 2013 with the 10th Planet, I think that really was just shook the fandom, because it was like a whole world had opened up where, yes, they are going to give the 60s the same treatment. So that was huge. I mean, anytime a new collection set comes out, it just sends us into like this excited frenzy as we, rush to make videos about it.
Yeah.
And that's always exciting, even though I'm always wrong about which one is going to come out next.
What do your predictions say for next year, do you reckon? Or do you not know
I
yet?
I'm gonna make a predictions video just so that I can continue chronicling how wrong I am at what's coming next.
Yeah.
But as more and more come out, I have less chances of getting it wrong. So I think that this year, 2022 is gonna have another Fourth Doctor set. We've seen that they come out every year. I think they're going to do season.
17?
So they're doing season 17, end of this year. But next year, I think they're going to do 15 next. I think they're going to go for
Yeah.
15 and save season 13 because that's the most famous and exciting for last, I think. So it's between 15 and 16. For the third Doctor, I think they're going to go with series season 9. And I think there's going to be a third Doctor release. I think for the fifth Doctor, we're going to get season 20. And they're going to probably throw in Sixth Doctor season 21. What would be my guesses? 22. 22.
Okay. For me, I think would get a season of Colin Baker. I think I would go with season 21, based off complete guess. I think season 21.
Well, that would be a Fifth Doctor one.
Season.
I confused you with that. Season 22 would be the Sixth Doctor one. Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to get another
season 21
Davison
would
set,
be.
But I think if we're going to get Davison, it will be season 20. So I think that it'd be season 20, season 22, and I mean, if they're doing 3 again, I don't know. This is just like my excited little brain, but I'd really love to get something like season 11. Like, I think that would be huge for me because I really like that series. So I'd love to get that one. But will we get it before after we've just had season 8?
Possibly not. It's probably, and we're probably going to get 3 sets if we're lucky. I think with production and stuff, that's probably going to be more likely. So I think it's more likely going to be
filming a lot of it. So I think that
that's
we're
true.
going to be getting something. But I think they're also they're readying up for a release of a second Doctor, or maybe a first Doctor, but I think a second Doctor is more likely.
Right.
Look, season 1 is mostly filled out.
If the season 1 collection box set doesn't come out in 2023, I'm going to be so annoyed. Yeah, it's just how can you pass up that opportunity?
But I think that's. I mean, they would be stupid not to. And I think that a lot of it is been animated in the past for that one as well. With Reign of Terror, and it would really just be Marco Polo, I believe, that would be the there.
Marco Polo, and they could have Reign of Terror would be a very easy one to they wouldn't even have to reanimate it. They could just, I don't know, re-release it on Steelbook at this point, and I would get
a bit of color on it, I think, as well.
Right, yeah.
And there you go.
There you go. One big book release of the year that I was excited for.
I don't focus a lot on books, if I'm honest.
I've only got half of it, but the Essential Terrance Dicks Volume 1 and Volume 2 came out in August. And
so are they the Target novelizations?
Yes. They reprinted the 10 of the fan favorite, the top 10 Terrance Dicks Target novelizations. So cool. And it's really great. It all comes in one book. This volume has Genesis of the Daleks, Pyramids of Mars, Towns of Wing-Chiang, Horror of Fang Rock, and The Five Doctors. And all written by Terrance Dicks. Got a foreword by Robert Webb. And, I mean, what I like is actually the font reminds me a lot of the New Series Adventures, which I grew up reading, so that I absolutely love it. It's probably just a really common font, but I love it. Volume 1 has the Wheel in Space, which is a very rare Target novelization. We're talking $100 or something, and so that's lovely that it's been reprinted so people can read it without having to shell out a ton of money. I think Dalek Invasion of Earth is on there too.
Yeah,
that was a big book release.
I've just added something to my Christmas list.
Yeah,
because I mean, when you read that, I was like, Genesis of the Daleks, Pyramids of Mars. You got all of that in one. Okay, well, and I think they're not particularly expensive, are they? Really?
Not really. Then when they came out, more so, but now it's definitely. I think they've gone down in price, and that was really cool.
Mm.
As far as the books went.
For you, because obviously we talked a lot about your kind of career, I guess, here. Is there anything that stood out to you on that perspective this year?
This
So
year,
this is not
20.
merchandise. This is you personally.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, 2021 had a lot of change just in my personal life. We completely moved to a different state, so completely different house now. And obviously, for most of the year, like I think for several months, I was parted from my collection, and that felt very strange. And it kind of made me look at it, and I had to pick what to keep with us as we, moved
Oh,
from.
so did you put some of it into like some sort of storage or something like that?
Right. For 6 months, most of my collection was in storage, and we were looking for. Was it 6 months? No, it was a while. Anyway, while we were looking for a new house, we stayed in temporary um, different places, and so I had a lot of it in storage for a while, and I actually got a BritBox subscription so that I could watch classic Doctor Who without needing to take everything with me. And it kind of made me it made me very grateful to sort of realize just how lucky we are to have, say, I carried all the Blu-rays around, and it's just so nice to have like a complete season of Doctor Who in such a compact form.
Mm.
But yeah, it made me grateful for. I realized how much I have because when it's just sitting on the shelves, it's just you kind of can take it for granted. But when you have to move it, unpack it, store it, and all that stuff, you're just very grateful for it. And I so much of my life changed, and well, with COVID and everything, it's just you're cut off from a lot of people. So I think Doctor Who was very important for me and the Doctor Who guide because that was really the only part of my life that stayed the same.
Yeah.
And having that sort of weekly, let's just have a place where we can come, we can forget about how crazy the world is and all of the stress and change, and we can just talk about Doctor Who and something that is so, you know, fun to us, like a new Blu-ray or a vinyl or a book, but to the rest of the world, they're like, "What are you so excited about?" But I love that I have that place where I can share it, and that people are just tuning in every week is just lovely. I mean, we finally passed 4K subscribers last month, which was amazing, and I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, it was just really nice to have of something that was the same for me that I could go to in a time of a lot of change. And I think Doctor Who's always helped me deal with change because I don't like change generally. And Doctor Who, it keeps going, so I know it's never going to end, and that's lovely for me. But every 3 years, the show completely reinvents itself, and you go through this cycle of realizing that okay, something that I like is ending, and that's sad. But what I love is that each doctor, I fall in love with each new doctor, and it shows me that in order for something great to come along next, something does have to end and change. And so that's been encouraging to me as I've seen my entire life change a lot. Is to say, okay, what's on the horizon that's going to be really great that something else had to make way for this to happen. So that's that's my
Yeah.
answer.
That was brilliant. Yeah. Cheers. Yeah. It's been a very weird year, even though that there was that whole thing last year about how because 2020 was a bit of a write-off.
Yeah.
People went into this year going, oh well, this year will be different. We'll have a much happier year. Like it would change like that. Like hit January 1st, and
Right.
boom, everything would be fixed. Honestly, that wasn't
Yep.
the case.
Yep. No.
But I think that we're not out of the woods yet, but we're getting there, I suppose.
We're getting there. It was lovely to get a vaccine, but unfortunately now where we are, the state is leading the numbers right now. So it's kind of like reliving 2020 in a way. It's I've been very grateful to actually have what's one thing that doing this channel it's given me a lot of skills for remote work online. And while I have, I haven't been able to go like full time with, on doing video editing or like website building, it's given me opportunities for gigs like that to come along and to do any sort of remote work while we're sort of in this state of not statewide lockdown, but just we're sort of self-isolating as much as we can to be as safe as possible. So that's actually been lovely. And I think you've probably experienced this yourself as you know, you start out with your YouTube channel, and it would be like, I think it's a goal for a lot of YouTubers that like it would be great one day to do this full time. But it also gives you a lot of skills that whether it's graphic design when it comes with the thumbnails or video editing or audio editing with podcasts and stuff, and website design, social media management. There's so much of these skills that come along with running a YouTube channel that I don't think people realize, but I think they are realizing now, that I'm just really grateful for the chance to have remote work as well. So that's been nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've had something very, very similar to you. Because this year I felt closer, like I was becoming something more professional with it, I think. Because even last year, I wouldn't want to say it, but I felt like some of my thumbnails were just awful. Like, they just didn't look very good. And the way that I would make videos wasn't particularly averse or consistent. And I kind of wanted to change that this year, and I think I have for the most part.
I think so.
I've seen the rewards of it as well. But I've had lots of really cool things happen to me this year. I've met a lot of people. I invited you on, I think, because next month podcast we're going to be doing like a highlight reel, and I'm going to be sort of partly like introducing clips, but then talking about the power that it's had this year. And I think that clip there of you talking about the last year might be featuring at some point. But because I knew that you were going to be a hit at some point, because I think that a big thing for me this year was inviting you on to do it as a guest, because this year I've done a lot more in terms of trying to get out there a little bit more and talk. Because I've had quite a few guests on this year, and I've made a lot of new friends that I necessarily wouldn't have gotten before.
Right.
Like I've spoken to people on Instagram because they've messaged me, or on email because they've emailed me, and in YouTube comment sections, I've had full conversations with people about all types of stuff. And even though I'm working a lot more and I'm trying to become a chef in some way,
that's so cool.
Get closer to doing that, I work in the kitchen for 30 hours a week, and then on the Mondays, the Tuesdays, whatever time in between is this stuff, and they know that I do this, so much so that I think it's slowly benefiting me, like you said it was benefiting you. Because this year I've had people say to me that I've grown up a lot in the last year. No, I mean, I grew up a lot last year, but this year I think I've been far more of an adult than I realized I would become. And I'm sure they're the same. Well, so
good for you. I mean,
2021.
It has, and you're so right that it's been just great to be able to connect with people and see how you've progressed, and I like that you're always striving for what can you do better, what can you do next that is the next level up. And
before we started recording, we started talking about like equipment. Actually, during the thing we started talking about equipment and how last time I had this horrible light that didn't function as a light properly. And that was what I had to film videos, was this thing. It's not plugged in, is it? It is. But I had it. I shouldn't have been holding this, because that is not a safe light bulb.
No.
But yeah, so that would have been the thing that was filming my videos, and I used to sit up there and just setting up this one here. I've been adjusting the lights and stuff like that, and hopefully get a webcam next year. And I fingers crossed be able to buy some of my friends' microphones.
That would be awesome. One thing I've noticed is your microphone quality, like especially when we do this every time. And by the way, it was a blast being on the podcast last time and this time as well. And I hope that it is much sooner than 6 months that I
Before
get
you're
to
back,
get
yeah.
to come back on again. Please, please, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Always
But
after
your mic
something.
quality is excellent, and yeah, this as I filmed in. I think I filmed in. We stayed in various Airbnbs, so I filmed in so many different rooms this year. If you go back over my videos in this year, I think you see like 20 different locations.
Mm.
And what it's taught me is to be how to make do with what you have, and instead of
Or how to
saying,
adapt,
"Oh,
I guess, as well.
right, how to
Because,
adapt."
like, for me, I have a lot of issues with being in a different place. You know, like, I have a lot of issues with the idea that of basically being out my comfort zone ever so slightly. And
Mm-hmm.
sure, each year my comfort zone gets slightly bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope to be at that point in my life one day where um, I could go to a Comic Con or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I maybe next year, fingers crossed, next year I'll actually be able to go to one. They just kind of snuck up on me this year, and I thought there's no Comic Cons, and then they all like
Yeah,
appear in like one after another over the last
right.
few months. But I thought that that's probably the step for next year.
That would be awesome.
Yes, but obviously, thank you very much for coming on. Is there anything in the review of the year that you want to talk about? Anything that really stands out? I mean, I've asked you, but if there's anything else,
Yeah, well, I was I'm very, very pleased to have been on. Thank you so much for having me. I think that one of the things that stood out to me that I've enjoyed doing, I've done recently 2 live streams with my brother where he will take suggestions
yeah,
from the audience, and they'll suggest a Doctor Who monster or villain, and he'll draw them, and we'll spin a wheel. Whatever gets picked gets drawn, and we do as many as we can in that time. And that's been really fun. I also, so like, I think that Doctor Who, and in this time of isolation, I've realized that Doctor Who about isn't nearly so much about what you're watching or what you're enjoying as much as who you're watching it with and who you're enjoying it with. And I've recently watched my dad and I watched the Evil of the Dalek Steelbook and that entire animation, and we watched like all 7 parts in a row, and he had a blast, and it was just so much fun to be able to share that with people, to be able to have gifts, like this lovely frame from my sister, and to be able to sit down and talk for 2 hours straight on a podcast with another Doctor Who fan, and just it all comes so easily. A, because you're a great host, but B, because we have this shared knowledge and experience of Doctor Who. So I mean, my motto is grow your knowledge collection and connection, and I always feel like the Who crew is growing my knowledge collection connection so much more than I could ever for them. But it's the connection part that's the most important, and I think we've been feeling that as we've been more isolated in 2020 and 2021. So I've just been really grateful that for the people who have stuck with me and watched the videos as I've been in all sorts of different locations. I think I filmed once in a shower that it had like a hexagonal tile background that looked very much like a TARDIS, but it was so echoey. And people still watched and they enjoyed the merchandise update or whatever it was. And so I'm just very grateful for that, and grateful to see the journeys that YouTubers like you are on. And it seems like just yesterday that you all were starting your channels, and now it's like you're growing up
ah,
before my eyes and doing much better things than I could ever do. So I tell people, remember me when you're famous, like, yeah, because
yeah.
you're going places, and it's so great to have seen you, be a subscriber and to be on your podcast. So thank you for having me.
Thanks. Yes, there's a lot of very interesting things that I'm working on over the next year. Uh, an audio series, probably the biggest. I've
Ooh,
written, now that the scripts are finished, I've written, well, I mean, between us, me and my friend, we've written 3 stories. So
nice.
I won't give the titles out in case I haven't revealed the titles and what they're about yet,
Hmm.
because I'm unsure when the series is coming out, because
the editing is taking quite a long time, and I am quite behind on what my plan originally was.
Yep.
But other than that, yeah, this year's been a blast, and I hope that, over time it can develop a bit more. I don't think that I'd ever get to this point where I can say that this is my job or anything like that. I don't think I'll ever get there. But to get to the point where I feel that as a hobby, this is like a very interesting thing to talk about. I mean, recently I was at work and we were talking about something, and I literally said that, and I never used to mention this, that this is what I like to do. I said that, I have a podcast and I've got, hundreds of people watching me every week. And, like, they're like, you do? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, look, I make thumbnails for them. But here's the thumbnail. And I was like, right, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm making an audio series. Like, here's a scene of it. Like, and they're like, oh, right. Okay. That's really cool. I didn't know you could do that, because I think there's a lot of stuff that I've noticed with people is that until you know them, they have a lot of stuff going on behind, like if you work with them, there's always something a little bit further behind the eyes than what it originally seems. Which I always think is quite cool. Like the quieter kids at school, there's always something that they've got, I think, in the back of their heads. Even, I wouldn't say myself as one of them, but I always feel like the quieter kids have always got some talent that they're keeping hidden, for whatever reason. But yes, 2021 has been one hell of a year, hasn't it? It's been very odd, very strange. It's created a lot of problems, but also had a lot of really lovely moments. Not just in Doctor Who land, but just in personal life anyway. We've been treated to many releases, and all of it, I think, has kind of kept us going. I think that with Dalek Universe, it really kept me involved in something else during the summer. And I think that it also allowed me to put something, it inspired me to do something a little bit more creative than I normally would, and empowered me to do more videos about more interesting things. And this year, I think that's been my general theme. I don't know what your general theme, but that has been mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you very much for watching. As I've mentioned, I plan to do a highlight video for next year. So the 5th of January, there will be a highlight video talking about my highlights from the last year and my favorite clips and moments. So I have been going through my old podcast episodes over the last year, and there's an awful lot of footage there. And I plan to introduce it all, and it's going to be about an hour or so long. And as you can imagine, you're going to be appearing, Alex, quite a bit.
Hey, thank you. Aww.
Because I didn't wire it this way, but it just worked out that what we were talking about was like the end of the year. Well, I suppose I did wire it this way, but at the end of the year, and kind of exactly what I wanted to say as like an end monologue ended up being this. So perfect. But so thank you very much for listening over the past year. We've done 12 episodes once again. Alex, you've been in 2 of them.
Woohoo! Yay!
And also
I'm
the
so
longest
excited.
episode I did. I haven't told you this, but the longest one I did was R1, which is like
Wow.
just over 2 hours.
It is. Yep.
The headliner app that I use that creates the waveforms doesn't go over 2 hours. So I'm being very cautious about what the time is now, so that I don't go over 2 hours. So that I don't need to split it in half and do it in 2, and then cram them together in the edit, and then the edit takes like 5 hours to export, like 12 hours to export. So I've got to be very careful with how I do these at the minute. But thank you very much for listening over the last 12 months.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Yes, obviously, thank you for being a guest. Your links will obviously be down in the description below, as they always are.
Thank you.
And I'll get on to kind of my thanks and stuff in the next podcast episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching. And we shall see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.